live in my body. You live by my rules.
We should be out there snacking on bad guys. Something you wicked. This way comes. Oh shit! That is a red one.
You need to come out right now.
I will let you eat everybody. Promise. I promise. Oh yeah.
You heard it up top, like a podcast in the wind. That's right. We're talking Venom here on Normies Like Us with your hosts, Colin Cassidy.
That's a pretty good one. I'll just do Mike Biote.
That's a great one.
Eddie Cobb.
Even better.
Even better. So it is Venom. Let There Be Carnage has just released. We've kind of talked. We did a Tom Hardy tribute episode. We talked a little bit about that, but we've never really dove into some Legends episodes, Venom proper. So we're going to be reviewing the new movie and talking about Venom. The one and only Eddie Brock's best friend and some other people's best friend too, depending on what iteration. But that's what we're here to talk, guys. The original symbiote,
yes.
However you say it. How do you say it?
I'm going to say, wow, that's a great question. Symbiote. I remember the trailer for the first one where Jenny Slate says, symbiote. And everyone's like, oh, I don't know if this is going to be any good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Symbiote.
Symbiote.
Sure.
I don't know.
Symbiote.
Oh, symbiote.
But I was going to say big episode because, Mike, this is, you set up, I think maybe in the first podcast episode that you had only owned one comic book ever kind of in your lifetime.
Yeah.
We are fucking here to talk about this comic book character today.
We've made it, yes. So to bring the viewers up to speed, back in the early days, we were just talking our history with comic books, movies, etc. And, I really am not a comic book person. You probably know that. And the only one that I did own was the Carnage edition of
Maximum Carnage,
Amazing Spider-Man.
Maximum Carnage.
The only one with the origin of Klyntars Cassidy and Carnage gonna put
so
Spider-Man in a matchbox.
Favorite comic book character? ... Question mark.
I think at that time, yeah. I mean, I had also the 1 foot tall, they had the big plastic figurines. I had the giant Carnage with snap-on claws and stuff. So I did like the symbiotes a lot. I liked Carnage, I liked Venom, and some of his friends. I don't remember their names. I know we have someone named Shriek in this, but there was Scream, right?
Mike, throw him out. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Jacob, your history with the whatever you want to call them symbiotes.
I don't really have that much history with them. My general impression of Venom in the 90s was he was kind of edgy, cool Spider-Man, but I didn't really I wasn't really a comics books person as a kid either, and so I just kind of knew Spider-Man from the TV show, and then I just knew Venom because he was kind of everywhere, the marketing of Venom just as a character and an image was very popular, but I didn't know what he was all about really.
And I mean,
and yet you nailed it.
Yeah. Well,
Spider-Man
Spider-Man 3 says it all, it's that's kind of my biggest knowledge of Venom is from Spider-Man 3, directed by Sam Raimi.
Well, one thing, and we'll get into it more, Venom became that way because he became an anti-hero. And he didn't become an anti-hero until Carnage showed up, which kind of we need to work together to defeat this thing. And so the first Venom movie was he's already an anti-hero. It didn't make a lot of sense. But now we get Carnage in the mix. But Colin, what's kind of your history with the symbiotes and Carnage and Venom?
I don't know. There was a time where I think young Colin would have been my Mount Marvelmore, for Mount Rushmore. Not even just going the super villains. I would have put Venom on there. Loved him as a kid. Just kind of loved how he looked or whatever. Now I think he's a little too edgy. We'll kind of talk about what I've seen of the movies. Jacob, obviously, 3, Topher Grace is just such a taste in our mouths that I'll just never get over. But I have a history, of course, on this podcast of railing against a symbiotic relationship in the Deep Space Nine universe. I gotta say, my issue does not extend to the Marvel world because I like the idea that Venom is a little head of a guy that can pop out and be like, hey, Colin, how's your day? And I'm like, Venom, my day's going great. How are we doing? Opposed to Jadzia Dax, who's like, no, the thing that it's inside me is the thing that's me forever.
Well, it's
that's where I lose
interesting.
the little.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's considered a symbiote, because the difference between a symbiote and a parasite, right, is that a symbiote, both parts of it benefit from the relationship in some way. So I guess when they named them the symbiotes or whatever, they had that in mind, because that's what scientifically it means. So he's not a parasite; he's a symbiote, right?
That makes
And he
a lot of
benefits
sense.
by not dying immediately like the other people, I guess.
I guess he gets like superpowers, I guess.
Yeah. He gets
fight
powers
crime.
and grab his
wants to.
motorcycle out of midair if he needs to.
Yeah,
You know?
cool.
That's
You're
pretty-
right, Mike.
Yeah. He benefits. He doesn't get to have a normal life. That's a big Thanks, Venom. Thanks for picking me.
I would say in the first movie, arguably, Venom kind of ruined his whole life, but
Yeah, we'll have to get into that. But anything else up top? You did mention Topher Grace. That was a very particular take on Venom, but now we have the new iteration. But
not only Topher Grace, but just Parasite or symbiote Tobey Maguire when he's like Dark Spider-Man.
Bully
Like,
Maguire,
when he's
yeah.
got like the teeth and stuff, guys. Oh yeah. You're saying even Peter Parker as well.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna throw it to the animated cartoon series we watched growing up, 1993. Hank Azaria, obviously most known for The Simpsons and stuff, played Eddie Brock. Were you guys kind of exposed to that iteration of Venom at all?
Oh hell yeah! I mean that's right after they were building like the giant spider robots, and then that's where the Venom saga happened for that. And, I was a big fan of that era. I watched a lot of it, the Spider-Man show specifically, more than like X-Men or those other shows. So
Sure. Fox Kids animated, Mike.
I've been looking forward to seeing Carnage specifically in a film for probably most of my life. We'll have to see how it went, but yeah.
Yeah, I was more into the X-Men. For some reason, I just remember the X-Men animated show a lot better than like the specifics of the Spider-Man show. I don't know why that is, but yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe we should just jump right into it. I mean, there's maybe even a mutant in this. Speaking of the X-Men, we'll have to talk about it, but we'll dive into the history and appearances of Venom and wrap it up with Let There Be Carnage review. Normies Like Us.
Eddie, we should be out there snacking on bad guys. I am a predator. I need to be free.
You have got to get control of your aggression, or you will get hauled off into Area 51. You live in my body. You live by my rules.
I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. Please let me fix it so I can forget it again. You are a loser.
We're back. We're talking chocolate. We're talking brains. We're talking Venom on Normies Like Us. Spoilers. Like Mike said, we're going to get to Let There Be Carnage at some point. We're also going to talk the first Venom movie. If you have not seen those.
And the
be
TV
wary.
shows. So if you haven't seen those, we'll spoil that too.
We'll do a quick little bit of history. 1982 fan mail. Okay, somebody writes in responding to a contest of, what would you do to sort of design stuff in the Marvel Universe? And a guy goes, I would make a black Spider-Man suit. I would make it dope and edgy. It would have a white awesome emblem, and it would look cool as shit. And Marvel goes, oh shit, that's the best idea we've ever heard in our lives.
It's a really good
Oh my
idea.
God. Why haven't we done that before?
Well, if you think about it, the Venom logo, I guess, is kind of like if the Spider-Man logo met the Punisher logo, and then they had sex, and then
My
the
God.
Venom logo is like their baby.
You know what?
Sure.
Describing that character, though, is if Spider-Man and the Punisher had a baby, like that is basically
Right.
what dead on,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's What If is going on right now, guys. There's a very famous What If early issue that is what if the Punisher got the Venom symbiote. So look that up. That does happen a couple times.
Oh, very, yeah. It goes to a lot of different people, actually, but
It
continue.
goes to a
Colin.
lot of dummies. The first appearance, though, 2 years after that, they give this kid the opportunity, not a kid, a young man writing and winning this contest, the opportunity and say, how would you do it? We will pay you here. Here's $200 for your idea. He goes, I would do this, I would do that. They go, your idea fucking sucks. We're Marvel. We're taking over. We're going to micromanage it. It debuts 2 years later in 1984 in a very famous storyline called Secret Wars. His outfit gets ripped up. Reed Richards, I need a new spider suit. Oh, well, we're on an alien planet in the biggest, most epic crossover of all time. Go over to that thing, it'll make you a suit. It's a little black dot. What do you mean it'll make me a suit? Whip, blah, 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 blah. I'm Venom Spider-Man now.
Mm-hmm.
He comes back to Earth, and for almost 50 issues, guys, he is in the black suit. He's celebrating, we're taking it all the way up to the big iconic issue 300, where we're subtly writing in some cool stuff of what if that alien suit is not all that it seems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe more sinister or maybe even malignant than if it would first appear.
We're getting, Mike, there's a lot about that movie I want to talk about. But yes, you're absolutely right. Like a cancer, it starts feeding off of him, heightening his negative emotions. It culminates into him ripping this thing off in a church. We've kind of all seen it because we saw it happen to Tobey Maguire. That's kind of like a panel-for-panel
iconic
interpretation. Very
scene.
Cool looking. Drips down onto Eddie Brock. Venom emerges. And from there, I mean, it really is a wacky history of what you're saying, Mike, where he is kind of towing the line forever of, awesome, we made the Joker for Spider-Man. This is his iconic anti-villain. Oh, everybody loves him? Ah, shit. Well, I guess he's a vigilante now. And it's just something they just struggle with for the rest of time.
It's like
You
that.
had to do a face turn, right?
Well, no,
Yes.
that's the thing.
That's
It's in the 90s, right? The Attitude Era, all the good guys were bad guys and all the bad guys were good guys, you know?
Right.
Like, so Stone
Hollywood
Cold and-
Venom Hogan walks out. He does
Yeah,
the
brother.
suck it. He's part of DX Generation now.
Exactly, and he's edgy, and that's what the era was defined by, I think. And Venom hit at the right time, I think, to capture that edge.
100%.
What if you got an emo Spider-Man suit? But there is like I think at one point the guy who is Scorpion has the Venom suit, throughout the comics, right? He has a couple other iterations.
Well, and Mike, up to him having another child. This is where Carnage comes out. The symbiotes can respawn. Like you said, we get Lasher, Scream, Riot, Toxin, all these other fucking multicolored motherfuckers. Great, awesome. Let me tell you where symbiotes are right now. All this mythology and stuff has really wrapped up into Marvel realizing these are some of our most popular things ever. The most popular Funko Pops that sell now are what are called Venomized Pops. It's every superhero you can imagine wearing a symbiote suit.
Yes, I've seen those.
And they're top sellers.
They can't fight it.
Right.
So they do huge arcs now where you get the backstory that the symbiotes are actually really called Klyntars, and they're from a magic, planet of a hive mind of symbiotes where, it was actually the evil toxins of Eddie Brock that made him bad. Klyntars are all naturally good, and they've spawned and existed for decades. Oh, but one of the Eternals that we're going to see in the upcoming movies is actually the god of the symbiotes, and he's the Black King, and they're all going to have to come down and face him, and he looks like, like a big white-haired skull guy, and you're like,
oh, wow.
This doesn't sound like Venom. This doesn't sound like, what does all that have to do with Spider-Man?
Yeah, that's expanding on the symbiote lore. Not what I'm into. I don't want to know their home planet personally. Right. Yeah, that's weird. I like that it's almost like a single life form. Like, I don't care about its history. It just
You got all
sometimes
its
doesn't
relatives, though.
Mike,
Well, that's the
it's
thing is
like
when
John
you,
Carpenter's The Thing. Sometimes it's like a cool, interesting, unique sci-fi.
Right.
This anomaly. Yeah, I don't want to know where that thing came from.
Well, I think that's the problem when you basically have a character designed around basically just a cool looking image, and then you try to make a backstory surrounding that character, but just based on, it looking cool, and then you gotta expand out from there.
Yeah. But overall, what do you think about the other symbiotes that aren't Venom and Carnage? Like you said, we have Toxin, we have Anti-Venom. Is that another different symbiote too?
Yes, technically.
Riot
it's
is
a
technically
thing that
in comic
eats
book.
symbiotes. Absolutely. I don't know. Here's the thing. I would never want to bite someone and have a bunch of fluid come out of my mouth, but we're going to talk about that a little later. It's so sticky. Would you guys want to use what the Marvel called these symbiotes? Would you have one of these things go on you and get all gooey?
Do you want to get gooey?
Yeah.
Do you want to get gooey?
I used to like, watch Nickelodeon and see people get slimed, and I always thought that was very unappealing, right? And I
Probably,
imagine
yeah.
this would be like that permanently.
What if your symbiote Mike was bright green like Gak, like Nickelodeon slime, and you were like a Ninja Turtle symbiote?
Yeah, we would say we are Nick, and
So I
then we
guess
would
if
go.
this goo gives you, turns you into a super-powered monster, then it would be kind of cool, right?
I guess.
I guess. I don't know. I don't think I want to get goopy and have another being with a consciousness. I have to. As we see, it seems hard to
Right.
live with this thing.
That's
and-
yeah. You got to have the
It does.
symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, you always have the
Yeah.
voice in your head. You got to manage that relationship day in, day out. You get superpowers, but what if it goes wrong? What if you don't get along? And that's kind of, I guess, the segue to what the Tom Hardy movies are. We saw him in the
Right.
TV show, but it is weird to have, Sony set this up. Here's a Tom Hardy Spider-Man, but there was no Spider-Man. Tom Hardy Venom, but a Spider-Man villain. And it's like, you kind of can't have Venom without Spider-Man. He even borrows his logo because he was on Spider-Man first, but now he's got
Right.
white veins and stuff. But it's the odd couple. We got Eddie Brock and Venom. And let's talk about the first movie a little bit before we at least get into Let There Be Carnage.
Right. Well, Colin, notoriously, so we went and saw Let There Be Carnage last weekend, and Colin has not seen the first movie at all.
I have not.
Oh, incredible.
And I was going to track it down. Here's my mini rant, okay? Sony, a thing that we all have a lot of, TVs and PlayStations, does
Yeah.
not have a streaming service. They have shared stock in Stars, Showtime, and Cinemax, and they move their properties around. I talk into my little Apple TV and go, Venom. I want to see Venom. I've wanted to see that for a long time. It's impossible to find. Mike, there was like a PlayStation Live or something at one point, right? I remember they had like an original TV show called Powers.
Okay, yeah. They had I remember what the PlayStation Live thing. Yeah, they were trying to like get that going, like an in-house
it!
network. But yeah,
So you
just,
couldn't
You
even
need
rent it
something.
on Amazon Prime or anything
Oh,
like
I
that?
probably could. And I probably could have pirated it. But look, here's my
Yeah.
thing. It looks like the worst thing ever. I watched one key moment we'll talk about in a bit because it also happens in the second one. And Jacob leaned over and was like, this is crazy, right? And I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Right.
You guys go through it. Because I'll just even say, you guys remember the marketing. I said the Jenny Slate thing. When this thing came out, all first impressions were, oh boy, like, oh, look at that. The CGI doesn't look good. What is
Right.
Tom Hardy doing? And Jacob,
Yeah.
you love this man. What is he
Well,
doing?
We've talked about it, I think, before on this podcast a little bit, but basically when this movie came out, Joe was like, oh, this is going to be terrible. Like, it's it looks terrible. And it did not look good. But I said, you know what? I think this is going to make a lot of money, though, because you know what? The masses, they just love Venom. So they're going to see it. And I was right. But no, I think
planted
this
your
is sort
flag.
of-
You did. Yeah.
These movies, they're not good, but they're, and I think the second one is pretty much the same as the first. They're unintentional comedy.
Spoilers.
Is what, is what makes it work for me. So, like, if Tom Hardy was not acting insane in these movies, I would not enjoy them as much. But as it is, like, that's what I like about it. Not even the comedy that's written into the movie, but the unintentional comedy. Where
Right,
you're not
because
supposed to laugh.
they're trying to make it a comedy. It's supposed to
Yes,
be.
and when it's and
Absolutely.
Funny,
when they try
right.
to do that, it's not actually that funny. But when they try to take themselves seriously, that's when it's
So when they
more
fall on their face, it's entertaining. And the first had plenty of that. Like I literally
Yeah.
don't know the plot besides evil science man also gets a symbiote and then
Yeah.
they fight.
So basically, you had Riz Ahmed in the first one. He's basically Elon Musk, right? Or
yeah,
similar-
evil science man, right?
type-
Yeah, You're a generic
He's
evil
doing,
science guy. Yeah.
He has the parasites, or this. I keep saying parasites, symbiotes.
They don't like that. Yeah, they're symbiotes.
And he's doing experiments on them. And I think Riz Ahmed was the one that was saying it weird in the trailer, and people are like, "Why is he saying it like that?"
Hilarious.
Yeah.
And one of those is Venom, who through a series of events goes into Eddie Brock, and then then the evil one is Riot in this one, which is like traveling across the world to find Riz Ahmed, and then goes into him, and then they have a big fight.
yeah.
That's basically
A
it.
CG fight, and then he breaks up with his girlfriend. There's
well, he
emotional
kinda-
stakes.
He screws his whole life over. He's like an investigative journalist. He's he thinks something's going on with
Evil Science Man's corporation, right?
Oh, you doing evil science in there? I better go take a look.
I'm gonna crack this case.
Right.
Yeah.
So in order to do this, he like steals files from his girlfriend's computer.
Oh, she's a lawyer. Yeah.
Gets her fired, gets himself fired
For
and,
breaching
loses his
confidentiality of the law. Way to go, Eddie.
So then she breaks up with him, starts dating this other guy who's like a super nice guy and a doctor. Basically, his whole life is like terrible, and I think I guess the point is that Venom changes his life and makes him special, I guess, and yeah, but
he kind of his whole life gets fucked up, and then now he has an alien attached to him. But they do defeat Riot, and it kind of looked like Carnage anyway. Like I'd never heard of Riot before that first movie.
Sure, and a weird choice, but Mike, a lot was said about the goop on goop because not enough color balancing on Riot versus Venom.
Well, all the
They're
goops
hard to
look
distinguish. All the goops are goopy.
Well, are there? Do you see a whole network of when they come to Earth? Is there like a blue one, a yellow one?
I think they show like we have multiple samples, but it's not like neon gas.
Yeah, because I think they like
I want
Evil
the
Science
subtle.
guy has the blue and the yellow, and like the yellow one, he uses that to kill Jenny Slate's character because he's doing experiments on homeless people and stuff. So
yeah. They're bringing in people and testing the bond with the symbiotes. Anyway, it's bad science stuff. He cracks the case and he saves the day. Eddie Brock, he did it. And that's basically Venom 1. There's a little bit of...
Well, but Mike, there's the one
Yes.
scene that I looked up. Now, you guys didn't mention Michelle Williams at all. You said the girlfriend, but about her performance, it's weird to have Michelle Williams in a blockbuster and Tom Hardy. This is kind of both of them saying, like, hold on. We're like unobtainable A-list stars for like dramas and stuff.
Right.
What if our fucking kids are finally happy because we're in like a loosely associated Spider-Man property, right?
Well, that's the thing. When the casting was announced, I was like, okay, Tom Hardy, love him, obviously. Michelle Williams, she's always great in little indies and stuff. So it's kind of a weird casting choice. So that's why I was interested in first. I was like, this could be good. And then I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, it's not going to be good. But
And worth noting, Tom Hardy turned down Rick Flag in the original Suicide Squad to do Venom so that he could develop it himself with kind of more control.
he should have been Captain Boomerang, if you ask me.
No,
That would have been better as
He's like a more rich man's Jai Courtney.
Yes,
there we go.
a talented one, because we all know how I feel about Jay Courtney. But the reason I bring up Michelle Williams, in the second movie, we get the she-Venom.
Yes.
Jacob goes, wasn't that nuts? I'm like, yeah, that was fucking nuts. He goes, it's a really big part in the first one. I jump on the old YouTube. I hit up the she-Venom scene. Fucking hysterical.
What do you think about getting a little smoochy from She-Venom to get the suit back? That makes logical sense.
I just don't know. I love writing in the second one that he is obsessed with her still, though, or that Venom is obsessed with her still from their short time together.
Yeah.
And even Tom Hardy cannot let her go in the second one. Like he's still in love with Michelle Williams, but she's in this stable, happy relationship now. So the whole point of these movies is that Eddie and Venom are both huge losers, and that's why they work well together, because they can be losers together.
Move on from your ex. Stay with your new partner, a little black talking head on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's jump right into that and talk Venom, Let There Be Carnage review right after this.
Eddie Brock, I want to give you my story. People love serial killers. Cletus, why me? What's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine. I have tasted blood before, and that is not it.
We're back, normies. We're talking Let There Be Carnage, because I feel a kinship with you, Eddie. You're a loser just like me. We're talking just about the zaniest film I've ever seen, and we will be talking spoilers, normies, so get ready.
That's right. Yeah, everything post-credit will come later, but main plot, it's all out the window. And as we were saying, kind of the same thing as the first one, except instead of Riot, we get Carnage and Cletus Cassidy.
Right.
Woody Harrelson doesn't keep the crazy wig that they had originally, which is probably for the
No.
best.
Yeah, probably. I would say this about the second one. So the first one, the unintentional comedy factor is what make me like it. The thing is, when you're making a movie that you're trying to make good that ends up like so bad it's good, it's hard to replicate that on purpose. So I feel like this one kind of is like, okay, you guys like that other one, I guess we'll kind of ham it up in this one too. But it feels a little more forced. I feel like what's interesting. So this was obviously directed by Andy Serkis. Tom Hardy had much more of a hand in the writing of this movie. I guess he rewrote a bunch of it like on the fly. So really interesting. But they're giving Hardy more control, I guess.
Gotcha. Okay. And Andy Serkis coming over from, Marvel proper, Claw. He's worked with them. It's like Sony's grabbing a little bit more foothold on Marvel proper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the
Right,
popularity of Venom, the character, and it did make a lot of money. And this is Carnage is here, so like they're really gaining purchase, I think, with the fans in a weird way.
Right. And when I heard, so, Andy Serkis is signing on to direct, well, that's interesting because, Andy Serkis obviously started as a mocap capture artist kind of guy / actor.
Mm-hmm.
He was obviously acted as Gollum, monkey guy,
Caesar, Planet of the Apes.
Caesar,
he's done,
so he's kind
Caesar
of
is
known
home.
for
Yes,
that,
yes. White
So
Cookie
I'm
Rocket,
thinking-
of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm thinking like, okay, I guess he's going to be, I guess they want someone who really knows their stuff with like mocap. So like for the Venom footage or whatever, but all the action scenes and the fight scenes in this looked really bad, right? Like it was very blurry, a lot of camera shake, hard to tell what's going on at any time. So it's almost like they're trying to hide their mediocre CG.
Yeah, so let's back that up a second then, because
Yeah.
we talked about Venom and his look and the goop. Carnage, right? Very, very kind of iconic look. It's the red and black, and even when it's animated, you kind of believe like it's constantly in motion or something. What do you think, Colin, of the look of Carnage in this?
But again, Mike, I gotta back you up one more step.
One more time,
To
all right.
literally, you guys said it, but the post-cred scene was so bad in the first one with that wig. Like Sonic the Hedgehog, people bullied them into changing what he looks like for this. You got to start with, how does Cletus Cassidy look? Then
Right.
how does Carnage look?
True.
I think Carnage looks pretty good. Woody Harrelson.
I don't get, like, it's so confusing what they're going for with that character. Like, it sounds like a cool idea, like a serial killer who gets a Venom symbiote and, is super evil. But it's like, his backstory really isn't that interesting. His look isn't, like, he looks like freaking, I don't even
Riot.
know what.
He looks like Ron Howard. What if Ron Howard, dressed like a cowboy, just started yelling at you
I
from
think
across
he
the
dresses
street?
like he's Guy Fieri. I don't know.
I don't know if he's going to Vegas. It's like Fear and Loathing. He's got these tacky jackets and a convertible. Like, what are you doing, Cletus Cassidy?
Ooh, red, my favorite.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know.
That character really did not work for me, and I think that they're trying to build on this relationship between him and Shriek, but it's just like, okay, they're both like evil and they're in love with each other. I get it.
Can I say something, Jacob? I watched the making of Sam Raimi's Darkman one time, where Tony Todd, the Candyman actor, talks about how, like, he's a bit player in that, and he goes, I didn't really figure out who the characters were till I figured out what rings he wears. I think Woody Harrelson saw that interview and was like, Cletus Cassidy. He's not Cletus Cassidy until he puts on his third skull ring, until he buttons up his skull belt buckle.
Right.
Belt buckle.
Yep.
Very weird choices. And also, there's this movie, I don't know if you've heard of it, called Natural Born Killers, starring Woody Harrelson.
Oh, who's that star?
Couple of killer. It's like Bonnie and Clyde, right? It's a
Yes.
trope. So it's like,
Wow.
I don't know if that's a direct.
That's just hitting me,
reference
dude.
By starring Woody Harrelson, but
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mike, I said this to Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time, and I corroborated this. I looked it up once I got home, Jacob. There was a time where Woody Harrelson had the best agent in Hollywood, Mike. He was on True Detective. He was on The Hunger Games. He was in a magic franchise called Now You See Me at the exact same time as these other
I
things.
remember Now You See
great
Me.
movie.
He was making appearances on television. He was doing like live TV adaptations of old family sitcoms. And you're like,
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson is our greatest comedian and actor of all time.
Putting in
Woody
work.
Harrelson is doing
Zombie
these things.
Land.
From Dayton, Ohio. Both
Wow.
him and McConaughey both got like huge bumps after True Detective season 1. I feel like because the
He
McConaissance
just
was a
rode
thing,
that
right?
wave. But the
Yeah.
Woody Wake, the McConaissance Renaissance, the Woody Wake.
Yeah.
He's just riding in that wake,
Sure.
baby.
He
and
is.
Mike, I said to Jacob, I think he is the type of actor, and God bless him for this, because look, I'm losing my hair too. I think he's the type of actor who's bald, who does a project because he's like, what crazy wig could I wear in this project?
That was his choice, the first one.
I'm working all the time. If I go to Ralph's after set and I'm just wearing the wig, it's to save time because I'm just going to have to put it on tomorrow. I'm just Woody with hair. And it's like, Woody, buddy,
Yeah.
wake up.
It's for
Like,
a
what
project.
kind of wig and
yeah.
what kind of crazy costume can I wear? 'Cause I
Yes.
think of, like,
What
the
kind of
Zombie
walk
Land-
can I do?
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, as we learned with Tony Leung, he had to stop himself because he was walking like a character he had played before, right? So Woody Harrelson has just the same amount of detail in his
Wow.
Only
footage.
great actors. do
Yeah.
that,
Your walk cycle will be
but is he-
different.
But do you guys like him? Is the question I pose out there? Because I just said
usually
he's
like him.
ever present.
Yeah. I mean, I've
Yeah.
seen all of Cheers. I liked him back then. You know what I mean? He's been around.
Yeah.
And I like Woody Harrelson generally. I don't like Cletus Cassidy. That's where I'm at.
Right. That's the thing. Yeah, because Woody Harrelson, he's kind of like, at this point in his career, he's like a crazy character actor who just shows up in different roles. He can do straight man too. That's kind of the benefit. Is he can do super wacky or he can be the straight man. But so I like him normally, but I don't like his character in this movie. So I
Yeah.
agree
Mike,
with
you
that.
just watched that Netflix Kate, didn't you?
Yeah.
Didn't you say you watched that? Woody Harrelson is the like elder statesman in that movie, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He's like her trainer.
He's
Is he
the
like
mentor.
wacky?
No, he's pretty much your generic. I did it for I did what was best. You don't understand. Typical
Crazy
Yeah.
wig?
No wig.
He can play the straight
Bald.
man.
No
Even in True
wig!
Detective.
Yeah.
He's McConaughey is the wacky one, and then he's the straight man in that. So
I guess so. The
No wig
last
for
thing
Kate,
I want to
though.
say
Maybe
about
a
him.
hat. So anyway.
Well, but that's the move in Zombieland. He also finds a cool hat. The
Mm.
last thing I want to say about him, legendary stoner. Legendary marijuana
Yeah.
user. He has
course.
done it and been an advocate with Woody Nelson, like with everyone for as long as you said cheers, Mike, for as long as he's existed to me or been
Yeah.
on television.
yeah,
From
I
the
think he would
80s
be
at
a
least.
cool guy to hang out with.
I
Yeah.
think so.
I
Woody,
do.
if you
I'm
wanna
a
hang out,
fan
hit
of
me
him.
up.
Just not this character. For me,
Yeah.
when I think of Cletus Cassidy, I think of like some like strung out, like skinny dude who's not hiding the crazy behind this facade of poetry and whatever. He's just fucking crazy and
Yeah.
unpredictable and dangerous. Woody Harrelson's like waxing philosophic, and it's like, this is not
What
Cletus
he
Cassidy
reminded
to me.
me
He wouldn't
the
care about what
most-
suit he's wearing. Sorry.
Yeah, no. The thing he reminded me the most of in this movie was Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor from the Superman movies, and I don't think that's like a good comparison because, but he's kind of doing a similar
Too much.
thing where he's just like a weird guy, and it's just like not working for me.
Just to imagine young Mike reading Maximum Carnage, the one comic book I assume your parents
and
buy
over.
for you.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
it's just page to page.
Like 12
You're like, wow,
pages.
that kid loves it. And to see a trailer, you're like, awesome, they're introducing this character. One ticket for me. God, I wonder how much one of my favorite characters is going to talk about the angel of his life in this. You're like,
Yes.
what a
Yeah.
setup.
Man, because it's Shriek, right? His girlfriend. It's like, if you have a symbiote, you cannot have a relationship unless it's with the symbiote, right? Because, like, symbiote, I don't
They're
like your
possessive.
girlfriend, right? Yeah, they're possessive. And so Carnage doesn't like his girlfriend.
Well,
so
right,
Woody
that's the
Harrelson
whole
has
thing.
beef because her power
Yeah.
is, like, their weakness, right?
Right, and so that's what ultimately how they can defeat Carnage, because the whole point of the movie is Venom and Eddie can work together. They're an odd couple, but at the end of the day, they are symbiotic. Cletus and Carnage were not. You'd think they were at first, but then when it came down to it, they actually weren't compatible, and that's what was their downfall.
Which, again, and Colin, please let me know if I'm incorrect. The one comic book that I owned and read, the pitch to me for Cletus Cassidy X Carnage was, Cletus is fucking crazy, and he's so crazy he has he took no breaks, right? Like Eddie Brock at least has a conscience. Cassidy doesn't, and so when it's him and Carnage, they're in perfect sync, and they just go wild.
So it's kind of like the exact opposite.
Yeah, like Joe told us that he called himself I am Carnage,
Yes.
whereas the Venom
Yes.
says we. So
Yeah.
for them
Wild.
to have that where they don't get along and that's how they can win, that's the opposite of what the character should be.
Right.
So I'm kind of frustrated with the portrayal, even just on
So they didn't really
story
understand the character. And also, I just think the way they set up Cletus's backstory and everything wasn't that well done. Like, you never see him do any serial killer things. You just know that he's in prison and he's done all this bad stuff. They find bodies later, but they don't show him doing anything like sinister. He's just in prison the whole time. I thought it's very kind of boring
He gets
setup.
mad. He punches a brick wall when he gets caught.
Yeah. I don't know, Colin. So what do you think about like the relationship that Cletus and Carnage have in this?
To fast forward to the stuff Jacob was talking about with Andy Serkis, here's what it comes down to, guys. Again, the question I'm always asking: what are these movies about? What is this movie about? Mike, you're talking about it's about this symbiotic relationship. Can other relationships survive? You know, if you're not doing it's again sexual, romantic. We could throw all this in. Who knows, listeners?
Yeah.
The thing is, the original title for this film, Let There Be Carnage, means nothing, of course, other than, I think he said it in the post-cred scene, right? In the first one, with that crazy wig.
There's going to be carnage or something.
Or he says there's going to be carnage or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, I've
in
said
this
maximum
movie.
carnage like 5 times. In this movie, he throws it out for some reason. Originally, Andy Serkis said they went back and forth. What we wanted to call the movie was Venom, Love Will Tear Us Apart.
Well,
That is reference to a New Order
Division.
song.
and
Joy
they
Division.
do
A Joy Division song.
they
sorry.
do a version of it. It's orchestral.
It's the final scene.
they
It's the
play
final
it.
song of the scene. Yeah.
I was
And-
Well, I think that's the biggest theme of the movie is the relationship between symbiote and human.
Human
Eddie
and human.
Venom, they
But
go
Jacob,
through a part of
all this marketing where you have Tom Hardy going like, it's actually a romantic comedy. And you're like, who is telling him to say this? It's actually, if you think about it, it's actually a romance, or it's a buddy romance, or it's a bromance, or it's about a relationship. It's about many relationships.
It
Again,
is.
what is this movie about? Love will tear us apart. You could say Eddie's love has been torn apart with Michelle Williams. You could say it's about his relationship with Venom. You could say it's about Cletus Cassidy and Shriek, a character I'm sure we'll talk about in a bit.
Yep.
But again, the question is, whose idea is that? If Andy Serkis doesn't have the power to push that through, if Sony is
Maybe
the
it's
one who
Tom
seems
Hardy.
like it's moving this movie, but if Tom Hardy at the end of the day is getting writing credits,
Right.
is he the one who's like, it's a romance, it's a romance, you
know
gotta
what, I
honor the romance of Venom.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was him because Tom Hardy being a weird guy, he makes weird acting choices
Well,
a
he's
lot.
been through a lot too, like with his mental health and stuff, and so it's
Yes,
Right.
drug abuse.
yeah. So to have something that might be parasitic that you're learning
Yeah,
to
and I
live
think,
with,
in
In
right?
your head.
Yeah.
But just
I
just
get it.
in choosing to do this role at all, I think he normally doesn't pick like just.
He wouldn't
kinda
be Captain
straight-up
America.
roles, like-
he wouldn't be
Yeah.
Captain Boomerang or Flag. He picked
so
this, and I think
he
that
picked
might be
this
the
and he
reason
wanted
why.
to make it kind of unique in a way, and I think that part of it is like the only part of it that really works for me is the relationship with Venom and Eddie. It's kind of a I said like Venom is a queer icon. It's like a queer relationship. It's not a heteronormative relationship. It might not be sexual.
Right,
We don't
right.
know all the details, but they go through a period of separation in this movie where they have a falling out, and then we get that great scene where Venom goes to that rave or whatever. and
Oh
gives
my
a
God.
speech about believing in yourself.
Yeah.
Look,
And
I
that part was the
shut
best
Joe
part.
down in our Malignant episode where he was saying it was a trans allegory. I said, let's not step on this. This is something where the intent is so obviously throughout it. And Jacob, you calling it out immediately once we got out of the theater, my mind was blown. Even the use of pronoun correction throughout the movie. And like you said, this scene where he is at a queer rave, Venom is dripping in neon lights, rave, accoutrement.
Amazing. Yeah.
Just feels the urge to take the microphone, speaks to, hey, everybody, I know we're all here. Hey, round of applause. We're all having a great night. I just want you to know you can be yourself. We're coming out of the closet. We're coming out of the Eddie closet tonight. You should treat aliens better. We should treat ourselves with respect. I love you and God bless. And he just like
everyone
what? And
cheers for
drops
him.
the mic. Everyone
Yeah.
cheers
Yeah.
for him. I mean, Mike, let's talk about our theater situation. Jacob and I went to a packed one late. Riotous applause during that moment.
Wow. I didn't have a packed theater. I went to the local one, the Korean theater, so I got my subtitled experience as I prefer. And it was the smallest theater. It's only a 3-screen theater, but Venom was playing on the smallest of the 3. So it wasn't a packed crowd. Nobody really went crazy during that scene, but I liked that scene.
Yeah,
Venom shirts. I mean, everyone was in line. The ticket lady was like, "I know what movie you guys are here for." I mean, Jacob and I were like, "Jesus fucking Christ!"
Yeah. So I think that's probably more the typical experience. I think for average people going to see it was what you guys saw.
I mean, I knew it was going to be popular again when I went to see Shang-Chi and the Venom trailer came on, and people were going crazy during the trailer before Shang-Chi. So I was like, "Oh, people are going to go see this movie."
We'll talk about the end of the future of all this, but I want us to know right now, as we're recording this, Normies, and as you're listening to it the next day, it has made in its opening weekend more than the original Venom, and that is in the time of COVID.
Wow. I mean,
the first film to do that.
The original made like $700 million, so this should be the most successful, like, post-COVID era movie. That's crazy.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, Joe was pessimistic about its box office, the first one. And I was like, no, dog. Like, people love Venom for some reason. Like, the masses love Venom.
They do, man. Once he came out, nobody wanted to be Peter Parker. They wanted to be Venom. They didn't want to be Eddie Brock either. They just wanted to be Venom because he's edgy and cool and buff and, like, cool. Yeah. Peter Parker's a nerd now. Get out of here, right? I don't want to be, I want to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. Get out of here with that Bret Hart shit, right?
And these movies, they kind of do harken back to earlier time in superhero movies, like pre-MCU. They feel like early 2000s movies, like Ghost Rider starring Nicolas Cage or something.
Woman.
great company to be in.
Yeah.
But it is, like, weird. I think, with Tom Hardy being a part of this and having relationships be a big focus, because, like, the rest of it, the fighting that you pay your money for doesn't work, but the stuff with the relationship with him and Eddie, that works. And, like,
yes,
he lets his ex-fiance or whatever, she's with the new guy, he has to let that go. And it is a lot of themes of relationships, whether that's platonic, friendship, romantic, whatever. That is what the movie's about, and it is working best when it's the Eddie Venom back and forth.
Totally.
And Mike, this film follows the trope of a breakup in the middle of it, where they go their separate ways, and we get to see the montage of how they handle that and
Venom
sort of dating
some
other people.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Also, isn't Venom just, like, killing those people?
They're dying.
They never really address that, but
yeah,
they don't.
He says, "I've been having a hard time keeping them on their feet." Like,
yeah, and I guess that's just because only certain people are like symbiotic with this. So, like, Eddie Brock, something in his blood or in his body makes him symbiotic with Venom, so he's able
more
to stay
compatible.
alive.
Produces more of that phamylamaline that he's after, maybe.
Oh,
but that's what Science Man in the first movie was experimenting with homeless people on, to figure out how can I do this and not die.
Yeah. Brains and chocolate. That's the only thing he can eat, right?
Yeah. So what is the similar compound in brains and chocolate? Could you synthesize that?
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about the action then. We kind of talked the theming. It kind of works weirdly. Like, they're doing a comedy. Maybe that doesn't land, but it does have... I think with doing the symbiote story, I like, the mental and emotional side of
and they do have the big climactic fight is in a church with a bell and everything, so they're almost like referencing the... when Peter Parker got rid of him, right? So,
yeah.
Felt like we got to talk now about the visualization. I didn't see the first one, so this is my first exposure to, like, Venom.
Venom, yep.
I don't like how he looks. He's too big and bulky. We said Carnage looks cool. His power set, I thought, was super imaginative. Even though it's PG-13, you're never going to see the axe hand, like, lob somebody's head off. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But Jacob said, the camera movements, Mike, the fact the whip pans through the action, everything, you can't keep your eye on any of this stuff.
Right. It's already hard to tell what's going on when things are essentially buckets of liquid being thrown at each other. And then to whip the camera around, and you mentioned the blade, right? I think Riot did like a blade move in the first movie too. Like we've shown control of the suit, right? But when Carnage does it, makes like those 2 spikes on his hand. Show a close up of it. Put the camera still. Like show that this is cool. Like we see the axe, but it's just like happening as an afterthought of the CG artist. They don't like focus on this is a cool power. Like all the shit is in there. He's shooting spikes, but they don't like highlight it in a way to make it threatening. You know what I mean?
We do get that one shot of him in the church where he kind of does the cool pose right in front of the stained glass.
The coiling, the tendrils are all over the place, Jacob.
Yeah,
but
apparently
it's in and out of that shot so fast.
Yeah,
frame,
and I mean, they didn't explain anything in this movie, like how, he was conceived, why he has powers that Venom
Eddie
doesn't.
bites his hand.
Yeah, he bites his hand and eats his blood, and that makes a new Venom baby, I guess.
I've tasted blood before, and that's not it. okay.
Yeah. And also, Carnage can seemingly expand indefinitely. Like in the church, he's just like
all over
everywhere. But like, I don't know.
It seemed the one line, and Mike, if you caught this too, because Jacob and I had to say it once I was, did he say this? It seemed like the implication was Carnage has been eating so many fucking brains and heads. His power set is just growing and growing. Mike, does he say at one point, power up, before he bites on someone's head at the end fight scene?
Yes.
Why does he do that?
A catchphrase. Power up.
Power up. Yeah. It does not sound like Woody Harrelson, who we should say is doing the voice of Carnage, like Venom. He was nervous about it, Mike. I read an interview where he said he asked Andy Serkis to do it. He said, I don't think I should be the one who did it. He said, no, it's you, man. This is why I hired you. So, I don't know.
Very weird.
Yeah, and I can explain the powered up bit because
Powered Up!
Maximum Carnage released on the Sega Genesis, and the Sega Genesis was also home to Altered Beast, where you would collect orbs, which is the shape of a head, a human head, and then the guy would say, power up, and he would get more powerful. So there you go. They were doing a direct reference to Altered Beast.
It must have been.
I knew it.
I do think, you mentioned these movies are PG-13. I do think that holds them back a lot, the first one and this one.
Yes.
They would have been much better. Like, Venom should be R-rated. You can't show the violence in any... Like, his whole bit is that he bites people's heads off and eats them. And you can't really show that in a PG-13 way.
Yeah.
I mean, they do, but it's like...
Cletus Cassidy is a serial killer.
Yeah, that's what I say. You don't see him do anything serial killer-y, and... it's just, the violence is very tame in this, and I just feel like it definitely would benefit from a lot of violence and gore and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that would, yeah.
I mean, if wearing a shiny suit makes you serial killer, lock me up, number one, right? But, like, come on. Like, you can't... My cousin, Chris, who's been on the show for Final Fantasy before, we would talk when we would talk, like, you can't do a Carnage story specifically, maybe Venom, but you can't do Carnage unless it's R-rated. Like, it's not going to do it justice. So, yeah, the portrayal, everything on the Carnage side really is a miss for me here.
All I ever wanted in this world is carnage. I'm a crazy man. I am a vengeful one.
The most violent thing that happens in this movie, and let's bring her in right now, is a woman gets shot in the eye, I think. You don't even really see that very clearly when Shriek is shot.
Yep.
Her weird backstory where she was shot by a cop, and then we realize later that it's the cop that Eddie's been hanging out with, and then that's the whole thing. That felt very tacked on. I mean, but...
I don't care about Shriek at all.
Yeah.
This is a movie, I mean, Jacob, you just said it, about 3 people who are having a weird day meeting each other, and then the one asshole who crossed paths with all 3 of them for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I mean, I get what they're going for with again, it's like a Bonnie and Clyde thing. They're evil, but they're in love, and they're doing all this, they're going on a rampage together. it's just, I don't know, it's kind of a trope, and I've seen it before, and they don't do anything original with that idea.
It reminds me of Andy Serkis back to Peter Jackson, back to the Frighteners. Like Busey and that lady were doing a rampage, and he was a better Cletus Cassidy in that movie than Woody Harrelson is in this.
Jake Busey would have been amazing casting, Mike. I would have seen that in a second.
Same character too, playing it the same way. That's what Cletus should have been like, not like Woody Harrelson. Yeah,
the only thing we see him do after he gets out of jail, he goes into like a gas station, and I guess this is a reference to the comics too, where he's like, "Hey, you got any of them internets?" And then like kills the guy, and then like hacks into the internet using his Carnage powers.
Oh, I forgot
that.
I forgot that
he uses the internet with his Carnage. Hey, you guys remember when he became a tornado?
Mike, that was fucking awesome. I did forget that until the moment you just said that, but while it was happening in theaters, I was like, "This is dope as hell."
That's what I'm saying. He's got so many powers that Venom doesn't have.
Does he do that in the comic? I don't remember him ever being a tornado.
Also, he was made in that second. So, I don't know. He shouldn't have been that strong already.
And can immediately do a million different things that Venom cannot do.
He doesn't do anything in the final battle that he didn't do when he was first born. So, I mean, it's not like he powered up. And, like, he can... Here's a question with the symbiotes. Power up. He can, like, unform his body to let bullets pass through. But, like, Woody Harrelson's in there. Like, he's in there. Like, what happened?
My question, exactly. So, are we led to believe, is it total DNA rewriting when it's happening? Is he allowing us to look like this, shifting, and then when we're Venom, we're still us? It's not Eddie inside doing all that?
I don't know, because we see that the symbiotes can leave and enter bodies whenever they want to, so I don't know how any of it works.
It feels like it's supposed to be on top of you, and you just get a little bit bulkier.
But shoots those bullets through the hole, Mike. How
that breaks it all down. Because they'll like talk and pull it back out of their head for a second, or like you would see in Spider-Man, they're like pulling it away from your skin. Like it's just on top of you. It's not rewriting your molecular structure underneath. Just making you more durable.
I don't think so. Changes. It does look like he's changing like on a molecular level.
Yeah, so Carnage. They don't explain
that. It shoots the poison out of his body as he's getting executed.
That's right. Yeah.
So I mean, again, they don't explain anything in this movie. So
it's 90 minutes.
It doesn't really matter. Yeah.
It's quick.
It goes fast, Jacob.
It does go fast.
That's the benefit, is that I feel like this movie and the first one were both very short, and they feel like they shot a bunch of stuff.
Of a bad movie.
I think the studio realized after they shot it, and they're like, all right, we're going to chop this into the shortest possible time and just get in and out, clean in, clean out.
Nobody gets hurt. We're only in it for the post-cred, guys. Just forget about it. We'll get to that in a second. I do want to say, I guess is my final, like, kind of look at Carnage. Like, this is, for me, who only had the one comic book and had the toy and was looking forward to this character, they really shit the bed on it. I mean, like, visually, it kind of looks like Carnage, but they don't highlight the powers. Cletus Cassidy is not Cletus Cassidy. It's watered down with the whole Shriek thing. He's not crazy. So I'm pretty disappointed, and the fact that he's dead now is also a bummer. And there's not going to another chance. You can get that symbiote on somebody else, but, like, they really fucking shit the bed.
I mean, they killed Riot in the first one. They kill Carnage and Shriek in this one, we assume. I do want to mention, so the ending, not the credit scene, but the just a tease for Venom 3, apparently. So the cop that's with them in the end, you see that he has like blue eyes or whatever. Apparently, that's supposed to be teasing he's going to be Toxin, which is the son of Carnage and the grandson of Venom, apparently. Mm-hmm. So Toxin is going to be in the third one, maybe.
Grandchild. I don't know if we can gender the symbiotes.
Yeah, I think they are.
Yeah. The third generation. Yeah, right.
Would you guys want another symbiote? I mean, again, that's their thing. I guess every Venom movie should be him fighting another color of the spectrum, but is that satisfying?
I mean, if it's more distinct, like race. Riot, I don't know what Riot did that was distinct in the first one. He was just kind of another Venom, and it wasn't that interesting. Carnage is at least a little distinct in his look and his powers,
tendrils and all that.
Yeah. Toxin, I don't know anything about him, but I don't really know what you do with Venom 3.
I don't want to see another goop monster royale, and the only cool one is Carnage. Like, to me, like, I don't want to see a new, different one. Riot sucks, like Jacob said. Yeah, we've done it. So now anything else, please?
Everyone said that first movie, Mike. I remember when it came out, people were like, why isn't Carnage just the bad guy?
I guess they're saving that was their Dark Knight. You don't want to give the Joker away in the first one, right?
Yeah, right. So,
but,
if Heath Ledger had been at the end in post-credit scene of Batman Begins, go like, there will be jokes.
Who will be laughing? No one will be laughing.
We would all, we will all think that was a classic.
Yeah.
Right. But with the implications of the after credits scene,
let's do it. Let's bust that open.
Gonna be,
what the hell was that?
Well, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, right? So that is
well,
I'm saying the set, like, I'm just on a vacation now, and
yes,
oops.
Rewind.
Yeah.
The first shot of this movie is a title card that says Marvel. It's gigantic and red, and says Marvel in the beautiful Marvel logo, as it does in every one of these movies we see, and then written in colored pencil at top in white is in association with, and know right there, it's not Marvel, but it's close. Now, guys, Brave New World territory, it seems pretty clear going forward. Let's say what it is, that worlds are colliding.
We've been seeding, the multiverse has been getting seeded in everything from Loki to What If, and we're getting Multiverse of Madness. So obviously we know, and there's rumors of the new Spider-Man having multiple characters from other, Sam Raimi era and Sony era. You get Dr. Octopus, so clearly we knew that's happening. We just were never sure if Venom was going to be invited to the party, and this confirms it. I mean, he licks Tom Holland on TV and says, that guy's a snack. And
I think it was...
he's not wrong.
It was like the most unexpected thing.
Yes.
That I could have seen. Like, I was like, it was unexpected when it was happening, but I was like, well, I guess that's what I expected to happen.
What else could it be?
Yeah, but when he's so that's basically that flash of light or whatever. That's Doctor Strange doing the spell that we see in the trailer for Spider-Man.
That's one theory, yeah.
And he's shifting to the MCU universe now. But whether he stays in that universe or he goes back to his own universe in Venom 3 or whatever, who even knows?
Oh, you know for sure that from a business sense, Venom is only invited on a probationary period. Like, there's no guarantees.
You cross that $1 billion line, you can come play.
But until then, yeah. But here's a question, though. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? It's like, Sony, are they bad at movies? Question. I think they are. Except for Spider-Verse.
Mostly they have been, yes.
So, is this the beginning of the end for Marvel? Inviting their annoying friend over.
That's such a wonderful question, and it's interesting to talk about without Joe, our big Marvel guy.
Yeah.
But we have had the continuous vision of 25, 26 projects brought on by one guy who goes, this is all together. I'm in charge of this. This is my sandbox.
Yep.
He is opening up the corners of that sandbox now. And you have motherfucking Amy Pascal breaking down the rest of it, trying to like fucking force her hands in and grab as much as she can before she gets kicked out.
Yeah.
And is that a good thing, Jacob?
Well, let me give you my pitch. Okay, I have no knowledge or information about this, no insider information. My pitch for post Spider-Man The Way Home or whatever.
The Way Home.
Yeah.
Here's what I think should happen.
Spider-Man, leave your home and buy movie tickets for this film.
Yeah. You get all these different characters from different universes. Maybe, you get Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man characters coming in, maybe Andrew Garfield. My pitch is that when it's all reset or whatever, and Venom goes back to his universe, the Andrew Garfield, the Amazing Spider-Man, goes back to that universe with him. They reboot The Amazing Spider-Man, starring Andrew Garfield, in the Venom universe. And they are
cool.
like adversaries or rivals.
I love that because
Right?
Sony makes a certain kind of movie with a certain tone, like The Amazing Spider-Man. This does, like, if you look at the color grading, everything kind of about it, the humor.
Yeah, they would fit a lot better than like Tom Holland and Tom Hardy together. It doesn't seem like they would fit.
Yeah,
but the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man would fit perfectly in this universe.
Tobey Maguire, gray, white hair, 60 years old. Hey, Eddie Brock, I heard you were talking shit about me.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
the Andrew Garfield ones, they weren't that long ago. A lot of people thought, they deserved a third movie. Andrew Garfield's a huge Spider-Man fan. He would definitely be into doing another Spider-Man. He's not that old
He's
yet.
an older Spider-Man now, so it could be a little edgier like these are, right?
Right,
Wow.
yeah, and they were edgier. Like, they obviously killed Gwen Stacy and everything, so they're a little darker. And I think that would fit a lot better in the Venom universe. So let's do it, Sony.
That's
Call
what you
me.
do for Venom 3.
Maybe. Yeah,
Spider-Man's back, baby.
I mean, that's better than anything else I can think of.
And what's
honestly.
good about that is then it allows Sony to make their Spider-Man movies, but then Kevin Feige can close the sandbox again.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
And
okay,
he's
we'll
like,
keep
"This
Tom
is
Holland.
mine."
Yeah, and then
You
you have
can
this
have
another
Andrew
universe.
My
Yeah.
beautiful baby boy. Can I tell you guys the missing piece you are not considering though? That's fine. We're talking about Marvel proper.
Yeah.
If you recall, dial it back again. We're traveling back in time. The first Venom comes out. People go, well, you can't have Venom without Spider-Man. They're like, no, yes you can. Like, no, you can't have Venom without Spider-Man. No, we're going to figure out. Don't worry. And we're very excited to tell you, this is the first of many of Spider-Man's villains we're going to be given his own spin-offs.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy's just the first. We just hired this guy, Jared Leto, to play a vampire. And everybody, I just remember all of us going like, oh, hold on, stop, hit the brakes. What are you talking about?
Kraven the
we
Hunter,
have
is coming out in January,
these
right?
Sony movies, Jacob. Do you think that could tie into this runoff of get these assholes a Spider-Man?
I think, let them have the Amazing Spider-Man. I mean, Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man have been running concurrently in the comics, right? For, forever. So
Since they were made.
So why not let Sony just have Andrew Garfield, have
Yeah.
Blizzard, everything from the Amazing Spider-Man movies is now part of the Venom universe.
Yeah.
And
Eddie Brock's gonna be in the post-credit Morbius. He's gonna be like, "Hey Morbius, I just watched on the TV this guy named Spider-Man. We gotta go beat him up, okay?"
Well, he's the
Yeah.
toxic, not toxic Avenger. What do they call him? The
lethal-
Night Punisher?
the lethal-
the lethal Punisher?
Mike,
Lethal
what if
Offense.
halfway through this Venom said to Eddie, "Well, I'm the Toxic Avenger," right?
That's right.
You're like, "Oh, what?"
I had a lot of
the
childhood
lethal
trauma.
protectors, because they
The
they
lethal
protect people, but they also kill.
They do
bad
it by
people.
killing.
We don't
yeah.
fuck around. We
Yeah.
kill.
Yeah, the lethal protectors.
Sounds
Yeah,
great.
just give Pascal, Andrew Garfield, and say you can keep 75% of the money. Just accept this, and you don't get Tom Holland. And it's like,
Yeah, I think that would make everyone
did
happy.
it.
Kevin Feige would be happy. Amy Pascal would be happy.
and it
I
then
just
gives
solved
these
that.
villains that you're setting up something to do, and it's a
Yeah.
better fit for the tone, I think, than Tom Holland would
Totally.
be. You're a genius.
Aaron Taylor Johnson is doing a Craven movie that they signed up for. That would be the third
Oh,
of
boy.
these. Jacob, they, like you're saying, need something.
And what you do is you build up all these villains, and then you say, holy shit, there's so many villains. We don't have a Spider-Man in this universe. And then pops out,
Right.
holy shit, where am I? There's so many villains here. I guess I better start stopping them. And there
Well,
you
that's
go.
like Eddie Brock is supposed to be the
Well, he'll help
Spider-Man,
them.
the hero. So I guess, a
What a
team up
struggle.
between.
They got to have a tussle first, though, yeah.
Yeah. so
Then
like
Lex
Batman v
Luthor will
Superman.
kidnap one of their moms.
Hey, and if I
Right.
had to
Don't
pick,
beat me to it.
if I had to pick
Why'd you
one
say Aunt
Spider-Man,
May?
what do you say, Uncle Ben? Why do you say that name?
It's his uncle's name.
If there's
My uncle's name was Ben too.
true, Eddie. I had an uncle in space named Ben too. But like, if there's one of these Spider-Men that I want to see wear the symbiote suit, because that could be an arc, give it on to Garfield. Let Garfield rock that thing.
That'd be cool.
And then
Let
Tom
them
Hardy
do
doesn't have
all
it for
the
a bit.
stuff that
Yeah, just reboot
MCU
it.
doesn't want to do. MCU wants to lean into this kind of Iron Man-ish Spider-Man
Yeah.
with a student.
He's
with
a kid.
technology.
We're having
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, so you could do your dark and edgy stuff. So we've talked about what is the best idea, but now what do we think is going to happen? When do we see Venom in the MCU? It's not going to be in the new Spider-Man, right? I mean, that would be too much.
I don't know. That's a good question, because it's like, is he going to make an appearance? Is he going to be
Has it been
a
planned?
major character?
Right.
Yeah. That's something
I
we just
got
gotta
no
wait and
guess.
see.
Yeah,
It's-
it's just a wild card.
Yeah, because we have Eternals and all this stuff coming up. We would have heard a rumor or something, right? It's I don't know when he's going to appear. Maybe this scene is just to say, maybe one day, buddy. Like, they just haven't thought of it yet. Spider-Man 4, I don't know, but seems like we're years off from having that answer revealed to us.
Unless he does show up in the new Spider-Man, it would just be insane. And then they have Green Goblin, they have Doc Ock, they have Electro or whatever. And
Yeah,
they
from the
have...
Sony side.
But then
Doctor
wouldn't we, if we're getting
Strange.
these Sam Raimi characters, wouldn't we get Topher Grace? Maybe we get a showdown between Topher Grace, Eddie Brock, and Tom Hardy, Eddie Brock.
Maybe they're
That would be insane.
CGing him in as we
Topher was
speak.
in it.
Oh,
Could
man.
be.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, that sounds insane, but who knows? I mean,
Topher would just say
And
nice
truly, we won't know until the moment it's released. That is one of those copy and paste movies. I think kind of how they dealt with Infinity War 2, where it was like, once this thing hits the theaters, that's it, and only like 3 of us have seen it how it really is. And I think that's when we'll get our answers.
it seems like this new Spider-Man movie, it's either going to be really interesting or it's going to be a huge disaster, right?
Yes.
suit. Yeah, the third
Either way,
Spider-Man movie.
Jacob, to reiterate your Venom bookings, that's an easy bill because so many people, like my mom has asked me and been like, did you know all the Spider-Mans might be in a movie? And I'm like, what are you even saying to me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's so good. Jacob, you really hit a
I
home
think
run.
Sony should give me a job now.
Yes.
Well, you do better
I
than...
did a better job than Amy Pascal, am I right?
Yeah, dude. And we probably could have saved Carnage. Rest in peace, Carnage. Sorry that they did a terrible movie for you.
Do you guys think Carnage did the Sony hack and got Amy fired with his tendrils?
Oh, man.
They could probably bring him back somehow. I mean, I know they
The
show
symbiotes.
Venom eating Carnage and
Yeah.
then killing
Yeah.
Eddie Brock or killing Cletus Cassidy.
Putting the flash of light at the end of this thing, Jacob, that's the shakeup of the snow globe to me. That's like Riot and Carnage open in the
Anything's
third
possible.
movie. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
just swinging around town and
That's
Venom's
true.
catching them.
Truly. I mean,
And
if you can get Green
Jake Busey is
freaking
now
Goblin
Cletus
and
from that
freaking
universe.
Alfred Molina, Doc Ock, why not? You know?
Yeah, why not? I guess. So I guess we'll have to see where we land after the universe is all scrambled up. But yeah, it does give them the opportunity to just do a refresh like a major comic book event generally does. Like, I don't know, just throw it in a blender and we'll reset, you know?
Yeah, either way, it's exciting times in the MCU and the Marvel movie industry, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But all right, listeners, this is our symbiotic relationship where you get to listen to us and we get to hear your feedback. We're going to give you our feedback and our final thoughts coming up after this for Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
Oh, shit!
Where you going?
That is a red one!
You need to come out right now. I will let you eat everybody!
Promise!
I promise!
Oh, yeah!
Eddie, you feel like home to me. Like family.
Oh, wow.
You could just say I'm happy for you.
That was going to be us!
I am happy for you.
No!
God, I'm so sorry.
Not sorry!
This dude needs some serious couples counseling.
We're back. We have fallen from outer space to this pitiful planet called Earth where we've been living a lot of lives, and now, unfortunately, the host we're on has to die so that we can say goodbye and give our final thoughts
Oh,
on
no.
Venom.
The hosts are dying. That's not good.
That's right. That's us, the hosts.
Oh, man. So I guess I'll jump in. Final thoughts. Again, very disappointed. It was a depiction of Carnage. It felt like it was handled incompetently on every front, from the CG to the character to the casting. Miss. But what I do enjoy about this movie is how weird Eddie and Venom's relationship is and their little breakup spat. That stuff is fine. The Venom side of this, as unconventional as maybe it seems, works in comparison to the dumpster fire that is the Carnage side. As someone who's a big fan of that character and wanted to see it done right, not rated R, as we said, so that's kind of where I'm at. A little bummed, but I'm excited to see what the hell happens in the MCU also as a result of the post-cred.
Yeah, I'm pretty much right there with you. I don't think the casting was bad necessarily. Like it could have worked. It just was like if it was a totally different concept of the character, maybe. But I still
want
think it could have been
Pennywise.
Woody Harrelson.
Get that guy.
Yeah. Oh, Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah.
You know the other movie I was just thinking that we left out of his repertoire? Solo, A Star Wars Story.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's in the Disney family, so that's another. You know, hey, Amy Pascal. You know, it's like
Right.
we're just like you, Marvel. We got your team.
Right.
Oh,
But
jeez.
yeah, pretty much agree with you. Like the best part of it was the Eddie Venom relationship. Didn't really like Carnage. Didn't really like Shriek. Uh, it was the thing I can say about it was quick. It was fast moving. It was in and out, and didn't waste my time, which I appreciate.
Wow.
Yeah, so I give it a 5 out of 10.
5 tendrils out of 100? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
What was the best part of seeing this movie, Jacob? It was that, to defend seeing movies live right now, which is, of course, still dangerous if you're not feeling comfortable with it, we understand. But the fact that I sat there and had a blue raspberry icy the entire time, Jacob, something I would never get if I was at home, and just, had a ball of a time watching a movie with you.
The theater experience was fun. And remember when the after credit scene came on and he was watching that like Spanish language soap opera? Everyone was losing their minds in the theater.
We
didn't know-
saw it in a theater where a lot of people were chuckling and nudging each other during
Oh,
that part.
wow.
Jake,
I'm
we're
like,
like,
what's
this seems
going on?
great. I have no idea.
Yeah,
Now-
I love that.
That's
The
great.
moment this movie ended, I had a thought in my mind the entire time, and Jacob fucking beat me to it. I can only talk about the second one. He leaned over to me and he said, "Now, why was Andy Serkis the director of that movie? What did Andy Serkis bring to that movie?" And it's the question you have to ask yourself, because it seems so deliberate of a guy who is attempting to reinvent a new part of his career.
Yep.
He's only directed one movie prior to this.
Right.
Warner Brothers' dark take on the Jungle Book
Mowgli.
that they offloaded to Netflix after the success of Jon Favreau's Jungle Book.
Right, and he did
Right.
some second unit stuff on the Hobbit movies. Just
Sure.
because they were so rushed. They're like, we just need... get out there with the camera, Andy. Do that shit.
Mike, spoilers for our listeners, we might be talking a lot about that performance coming up here
That's
pretty soon.
true.
And when you consider the masters that he has worked with and the performances he's done, and like Jacob said, the expertise to mo capture he would bring, you would think instead of Peter Jackson that this guy's career was doing the Transformers for our beloved Transformers series with the
Yeah.
eye and touch that he brought to this movie. It's rushed. It's pathetic at every level. There's dialogue where Shriek at one point says, "If you're wondering why I'm here, it's because I incapacitated your boyfriend." Would that character say incapacitated? Probably not, considering she
Yeah.
has no education and grew up effectively mute by herself.
Yeah.
But,
Right.
and this is a screenwriting trick for potential people out there, when Joe and I write a movie, you can get really in your head of, am I going to really sit here for 4 hours to try to come up with the perfect line? So instead, you do a lot of shortcuts to just fill up the page and get yourself going to another draft. And you put in temp lines that are like, well, what needs to happen in this scene? Well, Shriek needs to incapacitate her boyfriend so that they can sort of like just attack him solo. All right, so Shriek says, I incapacitated your boyfriend. That's just what you do.
Just
This
move on.
is a screenwriter who, we said it's Tom Hardy gets story credit with this young lady. This is one of, I think, 4 movies she's written. They're all bad. I can't remember them off the top of my head. You just have to wonder. You just have to
there's-
wonder. There's so much meddling here.
The script is not particularly good or interesting. Like there's no like
It's
lines that really
offensive at
stick
points.
out.
It's
I
so
think
bad.
The only thing that's good is like Tom Hardy, I assume, just ad-libbing through the whole thing and having fights with himself in his head. But
Right.
I think the what you can say about Andy Serkis, it feels like a workman-like directing performance. Like it could have been anybody, as long as they can shoot action and stuff. Like Ruben
Yeah.
Fleischer was. The
You don't even
director
need
of the
to
first
shoot
one.
action. You need to shoot the back plate because the CG artists are doing all that shit for you
Right,
anyway.
right.
Yeah, of course.
And like Ruben Fleischer, I guess him and Tom Hardy didn't get along on the first one. I don't really like
Shocker.
him as a director either, but it's just like anyone really could have directed. Like there's no distinct style or anything like that in this movie. It's just very
for either.
No, no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically you can't tell who directed. Like neither one has a spark of style. Like
Right.
it doesn't
People,
look like yeah.
Some people will complain about MCU movies kind of all being similar, all looking similar, but at least they have a house style that they kind of go with, and then the director of whatever project can put kind of their own spin on it to a certain degree. This, it just feels like again, it feels like a superhero movie from the 2000s.
Well, I think
right?
Sony has a house style, and that it is that superhero movies from the 2000s.
But guys, if it was really made around those times, they would have cast Patton Oswalt or whatever comedian to be the voice of Venom. Jacob is right in that the shining light through all of this is the choice and dedication for Tom Hardy to ping pong off of himself creates the strangest chemistry where you go, is that guy really just like bipolar and insane? Because they're capturing that like lightning in a bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Colin, you mentioned how many times like he's like talking to himself, and a character's just like, is he like talking to himself? And, like they do that like constantly. Like when he goes into the women's restroom and it's like having an argument with Venom, and then like the person like looks over. It's like they do that gag so many times.
It's the button to every scene.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of talking voices, why doesn't Carnage sound closer to Skeletor than he does? Why does he sound so tough? Why is he not like in the higher? Why did they make his voice sound like that? I'm so mad.
Have Mark Hamill to do the voice.
He's not cackly and like, hey, I'm crazy. He's like, oh fuck you, dude. He's just like Venom. He still sounds tough. It's I hate it, man. Yeah. I'm so mad.
Yeah, this movie sucked. It was awesome to watch, and here's the thing where I'm going to defend next to Malignant.
This movie sucks. It was awesome to watch.
It was, because it's a comedy, like Jacob said.
Put that on there.
Joe's whole argument with Malignant was, is this intentional? What's happening here? We can't differentiate. You can in the sense of, there's just the different tiers of, I am so much more lenient on Malignant for what it's doing as an original property, as a take on something, opposed to Venom where they go, look, we got a million things we got to hit. It's not even considered, I looked at the Wikipedia, it's not considered a horror, an action, or anything. It's just called in the superhero genre. This is a Venom film in the superhero genre.
Right.
Okay.
And it's, I don't know.
Boy, is it.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything interesting. I feel like, again, Tom Hardy, he just said, find me the most generic studio project that I can sign on to and do some kind of weird performance inside of this bland studio project. And I feel like that's what the Venom movies are.
$50 million because of a divorce, and I also need my artistic integrity that you're going to let me do whatever I want when I get there.
Yeah.
And I think Amy Pascal came a calling.
I think so, because Sony doesn't know what it's doing, and now it's giving him writing credits, and so it's like they're like, whatever you want, man. We made money.
Sony,
because they're making money, they don't care
has
if it's
not
bad.
made good decisions, right? The only good decision they've made in the last like decade or whenever was the the multiverse.
Into the Spider-Verse, yeah.
Into the Spider-Verse,
and holding that character ransom. That's all. All they have.
But worth mentioning. And just the last thing I want to say of it all, don't you think the writing credit stuff is this new attitude, and I think we're going to see this a lot from certain spoiled bratty stars, Vin Diesel, The Rock, a couple of these others. Don't you think they're all jealous of Ryan Reynolds, who just seems to get to run the house on original movies and gets to say, people like me for who I am, and I kind of play a character, but I'm not really because I'm Ryan Reynolds, and I get the writing credit. And don't you think that drives these other leading men insane that he just gets to do that?
Well, Vin Diesel,
oh, go ahead.
I think definitely should have, input on the Fast franchise, because without him, that never would have been a franchise, right?
Of course.
True.
So I got to defend Vin. But, The Rock, I mean...
I live my life a $250,000 at a time.
I'm not a huge fan of The Rock's, persona in movies, to be honest.
I don't think The Rock's interested in writing. The Rock just wants to show up, do The Rock's job, and get out. The Rock doesn't want to write movies.
I don't know, Mike. I think he's very interested in setting up the chess pieces of how he looks that day, which it would more and more with Jungle Cruise, it's going to come down to him behind another guy who's typing going,
Jungle Cruise.
Hey, you make sure that I look good in Jungle Cruise.
True. Here's my thought about the writing credits then. Remember when we had Edward Norton Hulk, and then we didn't have Edward Norton Hulk because they didn't let him have more control? Well, now we see what happens if you do. So
you're so right, Mike.
Yeah. So one studio, Marvel, said we're not going to do that, and another studio did. Sony, and then
Right,
also
and this
another
is-
studio, Fox, did, but that ended up working out for them because
Deadpool.
Ryan Reynolds is very good.
And
And
with
it's
the
rated R.
MCU in particular, we've seen this, like, they've, let directors go. They've let, Ant-Man, it was Edgar Wright was going to do Ant-Man, and they're like, well, he's not going to do what we want him to do. So
Star
now parting the
Wars.
ways. So that's their way, love it or hate it, MCU, like, it's, it's always going to be what they want over any individual person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Sony, you are a fascinating mess. And you have
least
some
they have
high
PlayStations.
highs. You have PlayStations.
Yes.
You're doing it. You're doing
So here's
things.
the thing. Here's the thing, normies. Put your symbiote on. Let it hack into your PlayStation and make sure it goes to @normies_like_us. It rates, reviews, and subscribes this podcast because that helps us out. It really does. And while you're there, you're going to hit that follow and go to our YouTube page and watch this stuff. Jacob's putting these videos together. You're not going to respect Jacob by watching these videos he worked so hard on?
You need to go watch them right now.
Thank you, Venom.
It's very rude.
I need to watch the video.
Where's the new Normies Like Us content? Well, it's on the YouTube, just like Colin said. Yeah, check it out.
That's right. That's right, Venom.
And let us know your thoughts and opinions on. Did you like Carnage? Do you like Woody Harrelson and Cletus Cassidy having a girlfriend? And I don't know, what's your favorite brand of suit?
Do you dress
And
like
is
Guy
it-
Fieri?
Well, I was saying, what's your favorite type of suit, and is it symbiote? But I guess that'll be it.
All right, we've been your hosts. This is Cletus Colin.
Mike Biote.
This is Eddie Cobb. Bye, everybody. This is Venom. Goodbye.
Bye, Normies!
You guys really killed that podcast. It's me, Carnage. All right.
Oh, Carnage is here?
Maximally. All right. Bye.